Well, hello. We are here at the office for our last market update of 2022. The next time you get a market update, it will be in January with all of the year-end information for 2022 and looking ahead into 2023. So it's crazy. Here we are, December 2nd, in the throes of the holiday season and the end of what has been, I think we can call it a remarkable year. Remarkable in very different ways from the previous year in real estate. But we are going to go through some information today. Of course, I've got Dustin that's going to jump in, talk with us about some rates, some good news with rates. Just real quick, I'll touch on that. One of the chief economists for the National Association of Realtors said on some videos and stuff I was watching from the national conference, had said that really we probably are cresting like the height of the rates right now, and that things are looking positive for 2023 being a year that we can see some of the rate back off a little bit. And that's in line with what Dustin was telling me just a few minutes ago as well. So I'm anxious to hear from him and talk a little bit of rate talk after we go through some market details. We're gonna look at market. There's crazy stuff happening. Few things I want you to understand. One, if you are watching mainstream media and you are buying into the hysteria of doomsday and prices and housing's going to crash and all of that, stop. Because that's not actually what is happening right now. As a matter of fact, if anything, we are actually still seeing pricing holding very strong. As we approach 2023, for 2023, we are expecting about a 7% decline in overall sales. So that's not the greatest. We don't like to see a decline, but we're expecting pricing to continue to go up, potentially about 1%. I mean, not huge, but there are not predictions among the people who know. There are not predictions of this doomsday that you might hear about in national media. We have a few factors for that. One being it is still extremely low inventory nationwide and in our local market. So that's one factor that plays into it. Also, foreclosures are almost non-existent. Like, that is not a thing right now. Part of the crash before, there were numerous thousands and thousands of foreclosures. Try to go in the MLS and find a book of foreclosures right now, maybe some one-offs here and there, but foreclosures are still not a thing that are a driving factor in our real estate market. So those are just things I want you to think about. Now, have we shifted? Absolutely. 2022 has definitely been a shifting year in real estate in all markets throughout the country, not just our local market, but certainly in our local market as well. We are finally back to, I would call it more normal negotiations between buyers and sellers. Pricing is still holding strong, but sellers are not getting the number of offers that they were a year and a half ago. They're not getting, people willing to pay exorbitant amounts over list price. It's a little bit more of a level playing ground now between buyers and sellers, but it's still great for sellers as well, due in part to the fact that we do have low inventory. We still are holding strong pricing. I will say, when it comes to pricing, you've got to be very cognitive of if you're listing your home, what the condition of the property is, and realistic about the value of that property. People are no longer paying premium top market prices for homes that are not in premium top market condition. So if your home needs some updating, you're going to have to price according to what the market is right now, depending on what those updates may consist of. If your home is in top-notch, just fantastic, completely updated condition, yes, you can still hold that premium pricing. So, there's some reality that we've gotten back to here. 2021 was a crazy year of non-reality. What was up was down, what was down was up. It was just crazy. that over 2022 has leveled out, and we've gotten, like I said, back to a little bit more level playing ground between buyers and sellers. Interest rates going up have definitely impacted overall activity. You'll see that when we look year over year from home sales in November of 2021 to home sales and pending sales in 2022. There's some differences. We definitely do not have as much movement right now as we might have seen this time of year last year, but rates are also more than double what they were this time last year, and that has an impact. That being said, though, keep in mind, Dustin's got some positive news for us on the rate side, and we've got some good things going into 2023. I do not believe 2023 is going to be some kind of banner year in real estate like 2021 was, but based on what I'm reading, watching, listening to the experts that I follow, it does look like 2024 is setting up to be a very strong year. So that gives us something to look forward to as we work through 2023. But I think 2023 is going to be a good year as well. So let's get into some numbers. Get my notes here. Okay, for Muskogee and Harris County closed sales, what happened in November of this year versus 2021 and 2020. So we're going to go through our stats here. All right, closed sales for this past November, 185. November of 2021, 265. And November of 2020, 237. So we're down. We're down on sales. Not a big surprise. On closed sales, that is. So not a big surprise. And when we get to pendings, we're also down on that as well. Average days on the market for November 2022 is 31 days. 2021 was 33 days and 2020 was 62 days. So we still are at a good low average. Of course, earlier in the year, we were seeing months that were less average time on the market, but we're back to about 30 days on the market. I mean, that's still a very short time. Think about in years past when homes were on the market on average 180 days plus. So 30 days is not that long. If you're a seller, don't be freaked out if your house doesn't sell in 2 days. It's great if it does, and sometimes it still does, but it's not. With the market shift, we're not seeing that quite as much. Average sales price for November in Muskogee and Harris County was $230,000. 2021 was $217,000, and 2020 was $218,000. So again, what did I say? Pricing's holding strong. It's very clear we had some really good strong increases in pricing year over year from 2021 to 2022, and that pricing is still holding. List to sale price percent, so how much negotiation, what percentage of negotiation was there from what the home was listed for to what it sold for. In November, it was about 97.56%. 2021 November was 98.55, and November of 2020 was 98.92. So yes, we are seeing a little more negotiating happening than we did over the last 2 years in November. All right, active sales in the MLS. There are approximately 351 active listings in the MLS for Muskogee and Harris County. Let me just add, that is still extremely low inventory. Last year, there were about 373 active listings for this time of year. Pending sales right now, there's approximately 238 pending sales. This time last year, there were 526. So that's a difference of about 288 pending sales. That's a big difference. What would have been pending right now last year would have been closing out, probably January, February of this year. So I think when we get to January and February, we're going to see some big differences in closed sales for 2023 versus 2022. Just my prediction based on the numbers and current pending sales right now. So we are down on pending sales, but that's not doomsday. That's just part of the market cycle and was completely expected. I think we've talked about that several times over the last few months. Okay, looking at Russell and Lee County, November 22 closed sales 126. In 2021, it was 152. And in 2020, it was 133. So yes, we are down, just like in Muskogee and Harris County, a little bit less than the last 2 years. But again, not doomsday. Average days on the market in Russell and Lee County for November was about 45 days, which was a little bit of an uptick. That's more than what we've been seeing. Average days on the market in 2021 November were 26, and in 2020 it was 27. So 45 it's more on the high side of what we've seen over the last few years. It'll be interesting to see how December ends on average days on the market for Russell and Lee County. Average sales price for November was $236,000. In 2021 it was $229,000, and in 2020 it was $208,000. So again, pricing still holding strong, still looking good. List to sale price percent, what did it list for, what did it sell for, how much negotiating was there? In November 2022 it was 98.17. In 2021, we were still at 100% list to sale price. It was actually 100.2. So still not a lot of negotiation, where we're seeing a little more negotiation now. And then in 2020, it was 99.76. So November, we saw fewer closed sales and slightly more negotiating. So again, nothing that's a big shock. Active listings in the East Alabama Board of Realtors for Russell and Lee County currently is around 199 active listings. For this same time last year, it was around 110. So yeah, we've got about 80-ish more listings now. That's not much. That's not a big difference. So again, still extremely low inventory. Pending sales right now, we have about 168, and this time last year we had about 282, so that's about 114 difference. So, just like Muskogee and Harris County, we're going to feel that going into the first of the year. We're going to feel the difference in closed sales just by looking at the lower number of pending sales. But that does not mean we're not going to have a great year in 2023. So that gets us our last market update that we're going to do before January. Of course, in January, we are going to go through kind of our year end. How did it all end up? The comparisons to the last couple of years. And again, always looking forward to what's coming next in 2023. So I'm very excited about that. I think it's time to bring in our local resident mortgage expert, Dustin Steele. Drum roll, please. Come on in.
Hey.
Hey. All right. So Dustin's here to give us just kind of some down and dirty basics on what's been going on with the interest rates. How does it look? What are your thoughts? I know it sounds like you and the chief economist for National Association of Realtors are on the same page.
Yeah, we spoke yesterday. He asked me for my advice, and I told him he knew.
I figured he did.
I told him what to say. So guys, yes, our last one for the year. It has been a very up and down year, more downs, but the last two have been up. So this one's going to be up too. I think we're trending in the right direction. The Fed made a statement yesterday that they're starting to see that inflation data is telling them that it's time to start tempering the rate hikes. Now, we did have a great report. The October report that came out in the middle of last month was great. That's the best one we've had in a long time. It's going to take more of those. One is not going to fix it, but it definitely did have a huge swing just from that one report. And if we could have a couple of those in a row, I think over the next 6 to 12 months, we could see rates get back in a range that you're comfortable with and things that you're used to seeing. So, and just to look at how much that changed, rates November 1, conventional was 7+. If you were under 7%, you were paying an arm and a leg for it. November 1. Government, that's FHA and VA.
That's why all these people don't have arms and legs.
Right. They gave them away to get in the sixes. So, but FHA and FHA and VA, November 1 was around 675. Give or take the credit profiles and all those things. After the November inflation report, and as we've moved, from that day on, rates today, you could expect to see conventional right around 6 flat, and VA and FHA in about 5.625. So big difference from 30 days ago. I mean, that's over a whole point on, all the way across the board. So hopefully that sticks. Hopefully we get a couple more inflation reports that mirror what we saw the middle of last month, and things keep going in that direction. So I wouldn't expect it to be overnight, and I also would not be shocked if we had a negative one that maybe pushed us the other way. But
indicators
say things are moving in the right direction.
So good news headed into the new year. I know we would like to have a little good news on the rate front going into 2023, because this has definitely been a tough year for rates, which means it's been a tough year for buyers. You've kind of had 2 tough years. You had 2021 where, yes, rates were phenomenal, but the ability to find a house and secure it and win the bid seemed impossible many times to buyers. So yeah, you could take advantage of a great rate, but you couldn't actually get a house. So many people were bidding, and just the madness of it. And then fast forward to this past year, 2022, and yeah, a little more inventory in the market, not huge, a little less buyer activity, but rates were up. And so it changed everything. Yeah, affordability, what you could afford in 2021 changed, in some cases drastically for 2022 for many buyers. So it's been the last couple of years have been tough on buyers in many ways. Not as tough for sellers. Maybe this year's been a little more challenging because everybody wanted it to be like it was last year on the selling side for negotiations and everything. But it's definitely been a tough couple of years for buyers. So I think 2023 is going to be a little bit, hopefully, of a turning point. Yeah. I think we're unfortunately still going to be seeing very low inventory. But again, the good news is you're back to a place where there's more reasonable negotiations happening between buyers and sellers. Sellers aren't giving things away. They're not desperate, so to speak, but there's a little bit more normalcy to what the typical negotiation is looking like again. So that's good news for buyers. You could look at it this way. In 2021, you might have had to, in our market, of course, I'm not talking nationally because pricing is different nationally, but in our market, it was nothing to see somebody paying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over list price to get a deal, to secure a contract. So it might be argued that while your interest rate is higher, you're not having to pay exorbitant amounts of cash over and above appraised values to get a home. So you're able to get homes for appraised value and within a fair market range, but your rate's a little higher. The difference is once you've paid that money for that house, that $30,000 over list price, that money is gone. You don't get that back. Hopefully, maybe you get some equity gains. But with rates, you may pay a higher rate. Guess what? When rates go down, you can refinance.
Correct.
So you can take advantage of a refinance market when that happens. So those are just things to think about. A different, sometimes it's hard to get out of this box and look at something differently. And you sometimes have to step back and go, well, wait a minute. Yeah, rates are higher, but I'm not paying over appraised value to get a house anymore. There's advantage to that. There are many financial planners would be very happy with you paying a higher rate and not paying over appraised value.
Correct. Yep. I mean, and just to piggyback off of the refinance, if you're a VA buyer, those are very, very affordable. I mean, when that time comes, the fees are very minimal. They're quick. There's not hardly any income. There's no income documentation on it. There's no appraisal. I mean, it is very streamlined. It is very affordable. So those are quick. We're also doing something for anybody that buys after December 1. If you close basically from here on out for the next 5 years, we're going to eat a good bit of those refi fees to help people make those a little bit more affordable. So, and that's across every product. It's not just VA. There's a bulk of them that we're not going to charge.
That's awesome.
Just to make them a little bit more affordable, because we do feel like there's a chance in the next 6 to 12 months that you might be in a position where you just paid $7,000 or $8,000 in closing costs, and you can't afford to refinance. So. Just something we're trying to do to help, and hopefully, things go where we need them to go. So
I gotta give Dustin a little plug here. We had Kylie on the team had a closing with Dustin yesterday, and if I've got this right, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
This deal, it was not the easiest deal to get put together. It had some complications with it. Dustin got this thing closed in 11 business working days.
That is correct.
11 business working days. In the midst of the holiday season, got it closed. Now, I'm not saying this to set an expectation that he can close everything in 11 days. A lot of stars have to align for that. Yeah. But what that does tell you is his level of commitment to getting things done. So if you ever had any doubt, you can let go of all that doubt, because this man got
fight it to the
loan closed beginning to end in 11 business days. Phenomenal. And this was not like an easy, just no-brainer. There were complications.
It was tough. It was a tough one. So
yes.
We had a little luck on our side. So.
And a lot of good hard work and talent. So obviously, as always, if you've got any mortgage questions, mortgage needs, please reach out to Dustin. He knows his stuff. He can get it done. He can help guide you on what the right plan is for you based on your circumstances in the market at this time. So let him do that. And then, of course, on the listing, selling your home, buying a home side, that's what myself and my team are here for, to help you guys through that process, help you figure out this timing going into 2023, what makes sense. If you're thinking that you might want to sell your home in 2023 or even in 2024, let's go ahead and start that conversation. If you were thinking you might want to buy a home in 2023 or 2024, it's time to start that conversation. Don't wait till you're ready.
Yeah.
We want to start it ahead of time so that we have you prepared properly and you're making the best decisions possible. So let us help you with that. We, again, won't see you again till January. Crazy. I hope everybody has a fabulous, fabulous Christmas season and Happy New Year. If something really cool pops up, we may jump back on for a special video between now and the end of the year if something cool happens with rates or in the housing market. But otherwise, it'll probably be January before you see our smiling faces again. Lots of fun stuff happening around town in the coming weeks through the holiday season. I know next Saturday morning, the Food Mill is putting on the donut run. I'm participating. I think Virginia on the team is participating. Joey, my husband, will be there. Bailey will likely be there as well. Dustin?
I'm going to be eating donuts.
Okay, so Dustin's not running.
Handing out water cups.
But that's going to be next Saturday morning, December 10th. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It is a great cause. It is to help feed people in our community. So come support that event. And then I know I think there's Christmas tree lighting in Smith Station maybe tonight and downtown Columbus tonight. Next Saturday night, Cascade Hills is putting on what's supposed to be a phenomenal production at the River Center. So I'm very excited. Joey and I are going to that. So anyhow, lots of fun stuff going on. Hope to see you out there. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas season. Anything else?
Merry Christmas.
All right. And Dustin's going to drop his contact info below as usual in the comments in case any of you need to reach out. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We will see you again in 2023.
See you guys.